Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Butcher here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hi, I'm Val Jones. I'm from Denver, Colorado, and I am 52 years old, and this is my story. It actually starts off as a very innocent family outing when I was 5 years old. I'm the youngest of 7, and a brand new ice rink had opened up about 5 minutes from my house. My dad was a former semi-professional hockey player, and he wanted to introduce us kids to the love of ice. And the minute that I put my skates on and I got out there, I knew that that was my thing. I literally felt like a duck in water. And so a dream was born. And it was cemented in my heart when about 6 months later, I watched Dorothy Hamill capture her Olympic gold in the 1976 Winter Olympics. And so I trained and I competed, and I was loving every minute. It was hard work. I don't know any other six-year-olds who got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to train. And I did so. I trained 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, and I was 6 years old. I was so serious about my Olympic dream that my mom and I moved from our family home in Sacramento, California to the Bay Area so that I could train with Olympic and national level coaches. And it was there I got to spend the next 7 years training right next to Brian Boitano and his coach. I was so blessed. My mom and I would leave the Bay Area on a Friday night, go home to Sacramento, and spend the weekend with my dad and my other siblings. And then we would travel back to the Bay Area on Sunday night. And we did this for nearly 3 years until, unfortunately, one night we got home. My dad wasn't feeling well and he had a massive heart attack and died. And I almost quit skating. I was this close, but I didn't, because I knew that that's not what my dad would have wanted. And so I returned to the ice with a new commitment and a profound sense like I was doing this now for him as well. And I could see my Olympic dream. It felt so close that I could almost reach out and touch it. Until one day when I was 18, I was training a jump called the triple lutz, and I blew out my knee. And I specifically remember sitting in the orthopedic surgeon's office, and he said, I think I can put you back together again, but it's my professional recommendation that you never skate again. You don't compete. And with that, my Olympic dream died. And you would think that that's where my story kind of ends, but that actually is where it kind of starts as well. Now, I'm not a Debbie Downer. I'm not. You guys, I'm not a Debbie Downer, but here's what I know to be true about life. If you have a heartbeat, chances are that at some point in your life, you are going to experience pain, disappointment, and heartbreak. And I need you to trust me when I tell you I know all those 3 things. Skating, I didn't know it at the time when I was 5. Nobody told me that ice was hard and it would have complications and consequences later. So in the last decade, I actually have had 8 surgeries in 9 years, all but one of them being of the orthopedic nature, including a new back and a new hip. And keep in mind, I still have that knee to be replaced as well. My only non-orthopedic surgery was sinus surgery, and it resulted in me contracting a deadly complication called MRSA. I'm an overachiever. Yes, I am. I contracted somehow not only 1 strain, but 2 strains of MRSA. 2. I'm literally in the history books of the CDC in Atlanta because it's almost not even documented. The treatment and the protocol for MRSA, it's a lot like chemo is to cancer. Like, chemo will either kill the cancer or it might kill you, unfortunately. And it's the same with MRSA. And so the medicine was very strong. One of the medicines I had to push 1 cc every minute on and then take a minute off and then do it again. And I did this for 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off, because if I pushed it all at once, I would immediately go into cardiac arrest. The other medicine for the other strain, the complication of that was kidney failure, which I went into on day 27. And I can remember sitting in that doctor's office, and my infectious disease doctor said, well, here's the good news. Kidneys are highly regenerative. We're going to flush it out. We're going to give it everything you got. That's the good news. If you make it through the night. And I remember him saying, if you make it through the night, and every part of my competitive being got called upon. I knew I was literally in the fight for my life. And obviously I made it through, and have just learned a lot from that. So when I tell you I know heartbreak, pain, and disappointment, I do. I really do know all of those things. But I feel like I'm on this mission. I got to experience my dad in a way maybe that my older 6 siblings didn't. We spent a lot of time together driving around to skating competitions. And I can remember specifically my dad telling me, Valerie, every check you write to regret, you're going to have to cash in one day, and it's going to hurt. So live your life in a manner in which you write as few checks as possible to regret. And so that's been my mission since I was 13. I believe, and I know this is going to sound cheesy and corny, but I believe that there's a champion in all of us. And I believe we all want to have a gold medal podium moment. And the work is hard. It is. Nothing worthwhile is ever going to come easy. But to be able to look back on your life and say, I wrote as few checks to regret as possible, that's going to be a really good feeling. And I would almost bet all the money that I have in the world, we're not going to ever regret the things that we did. It's going to be the things that we didn't do. We didn't go on that trip. We didn't launch that side hustle. We didn't take that scary job. It's going to be the things that we didn't do. And so my job as a coach is to get you to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because nothing about success is going to be comfortable. My story continues a little bit later. I know 2020 and COVID has impacted all of us. I mean, I haven't met a human that hasn't said that they were impacted in some sort of way. 2020, up until that point, I was primarily just a keynote speaker. That was my only source of income for myself, was being that. And I lost all my speaking engagements 2020. But all at the same time, my youngest moved out of the house. And so I was left with all these feelings of inadequacy, not knowing where is my place? Where's my place in my family? I'm not doing all the mom things. There were no more games, no more PTA, no more teacher conferences. I didn't know my purpose even within my own family. I didn't know my purpose within the workforce, because my livelihood got taken away from this. And so I did what any 21st century woman would do. Took to the internet, and I Googled and I researched everything about midlife crisis. And shockingly, I found a lot of things that led itself to menopause, but not a whole lot to midlife crisis. And I know that being in a midlife crisis has a negative connotation to it, but I think of it as this is an opportunity for us women to recreate and reimagine a life for us now that the kids are grown and gone. It's a chance for us to recapture a version of ourselves that perhaps maybe we gave up willingly, so that we could raise those precious babies. And so now my mission is to still help as many women as possible, to write as few checks to regret as possible, but also to give them the confidence, the clarity, the courage to step into the second act of their life and to really create a life that they love, that they are excited about, and that they can have those feelings of being fulfilled. When I speak with audiences, I often close my keynote with three things, and they're three things that are near and dear to my heart. And the first one is, you are not what happens to you in life. You're not. It is an event. It is not a description, and it certainly is not a label. The second thing is, there are two things you get to control in your life: your work ethic and your attitude. That's it. That's all you get to control. So if you can manage those two things, you are so far ahead than if you didn't. And the last thing is, never be out of the fight. Never. When my infectious disease doctor told me if I could make it through the night, I had to fight. And I knew that I couldn't just tap out. I had to fight with everything that I had. And there is something to getting up and going again. Listen, when I was figure skating, it's not like I came onto the ice that day and I said, okay, Val, today we're going to learn the double axel. And I went out there and I did it perfectly on the first time. No, it's not how it happened. I don't know if Malcolm Gladwell's theory on 10,000 hours to perfect something is accurate or not. I suspect that it is. But here's what I know. I probably fell 10,000 times before I ever landed on my feet. And each and every time I fell, I had a choice to make. Was I going to sit there and pout on the ice, which got very cold very quickly, or was I going to get up and go again? And I did. I got up and I went again. And if you beautiful women take only one thing away from me with this talk, it's I hope you have the courage to get up and go again.
Wow, Val, life has certainly thrown you a few curveballs. But what I love is just this ability to bounce back. Now, a lot of times when people hit rock bottom, they don't realize that there's an opportunity for growth. If you could go back, let's say, to that fall, that injury, and give somebody right now 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you to this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be to help them overcome the challenge they're faced with right now?
I would say, is it happening to you or is it happening for you? That would be the first one. Second, I know it's hard and it's not culturally, cool to accept the problem or the trauma, but what has happened in my life is my trauma and my pain has been the answer to somebody else's trauma and pain. And now I get to pay it forward. And the third thing is, what if you come out on the other side better, stronger, and faster? What if you learned things that you couldn't have possibly learned if that event didn't happen to you? And so be open to, what is the lesson that I need to learn? What skills do I need to develop to get on the other side of this? Who do I need to become to get past this obstacle? That would be my 3 bits of nugget.
Wow. Absolutely beautiful. Now, let me take you to your future. Time is an illusion, right? It's a construct human beings have put together so we get to work at 9 and finish at 5. if I could teleport you to the 100-year-old you, that wise woman who has lived this phenomenal life, she's sitting on a rocking chair, surrounded by her dogs, her cats, her grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and you could have a conversation with her based on how you're living your life right now, what would you say to her?
You did a good job. No, you did a great job. You did the fantastic. And you would have made Dad proud. And we lived a life in which we wrote very few checks to regret. That is what I hope she would say.
I love the analogy of the writing of these checks. That's going to stick with me for life. It's true. It's what we're depositing into the universe. My grandmother used to say that every day comes with a blessing or a teaching. So our blessings, the bad things, there's just lessons to be learned. And she would say, do good deeds every day. Keep depositing good deeds. They come back tenfold in very, very extraordinary ways. So you've really touched on a few things that really resonate with me today. Absolutely wonderful. So my last question is, was there anything I should have asked you that I left out?
The question that I get asked most often is if I had a chance and I do I regret blowing out my knee? Well, first of all, it was an accident, so it wasn't like I had a choice. But no, because if you would have told 18-year-old Val sitting in that orthopedic surgeon's office that I was going to do what I do now and get to speak to thousands of people and move and promote health and wellness and coach some of the coolest people on earth, if you would have told her that, there's no way I would have believed you. So it's taken me a long time to heal from that. But I think the truest expression of healing is when you can look back and be thankful. And I'm so thankful. My life today would have not looked anything like it would have had I gone on the path. And it's an unknown, right? I won't ever know what that life would have looked like, but I sure love the one that I have.
Fantastic. So now you are empowering other women. It's not just about you. What is 50 on Fire all about?
50's on Fire is a place for women who are experiencing a midlife crisis. It's a place for them to come get clarity, courage, connection, and the confidence to step forward into the second chapter of their life now that the kids are grown and gone, or grown and almost gone. And it's a place for us to come together, give them knowledge, skills, and really a belief in themselves to step forward.
Fantastic. Val, thank you so much for coming online and gracing us with your amazing presence. Thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story movement is attracting some phenomenal stories. It just blows me away every single morning when I get to do this and meet people like you, Val. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show.
So I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another phenomenal woman. Have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thank you, Val.
Bye.